We are on the Lamed Gimel, page 33 in Berachot. The Mishnah said, "Afilu nachash karuk halakevo lo yafsik." The halachot here, it's not just a study Daf Yomi, but it's also involved with practical halachot. The kavanah, the full intent while we are praying, is crucial. So the Mishnah tells us that even is a snake around the person who pray his heel, he still have the obligation to focus and not to interrupt. The big question here is, you may thinking, is that for real nachash, is real snake? We're using a language many times, we said it, that the Talmud use and the Mishnah use sometimes a language of exaggeration just to emphasize a point. And here they want to emphasize the point of focusing, because soon we're going to the definition of clearly a dangerous situation versus something that you can survive with that. Meaning, we differentiate between just matter of focusing and not interrupting versus something that is really endanger a person's life. We don't ask a person in general to go to that level. It's a famous story about Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, that they came to him. He was a giant Torah scholar in the past generation, and they came to him with the absolute urgent need, and the Shamash, the one who's close to him, he said it's an absolute urgent need, and he was at the middle of the Amidah, of the Shmoneh Esrei prayer, and he just did not pay attention. The Shamash kept saying out loud, "Rabbi, it's absolutely urgent needs," and he kept saying Amidah. So it's just going to show you that we take the Amidah and the prayer in the very highest level, but here is a discussion. Amar Rav Sheshet, lo shanu ela nachash, aval akrav posek. Here Rav Sheshet differentiate between snake, meaning something that it's dangerous, but in a way, those who are familiar with animals, and we are many animal lovers here, they're familiar that there are certain animals, if you don't aggravate them, if you don't start up with doing something to them, they can be a very friendly, even a pet. I was once at the Jerusalem Mall, and it was a lady sitting there selling, guess what? Snakes as a pet, home pet. So it means I was like shocked to see the snake around the body, and so many people watching, and she have a box of a ton of snakes, and she claimed that they are not endanger anybody's life. They are friendly and they are pet. So I don't say that people should have snake, but the thing is, Rav Sheshet tried to say that regular snake, it shouldn't be an issue, but a scorpion meaning something that it's really can be dangerous. And the Mefarshim here, where is it? Rav Nisim Gaon, yes, he said Mishum de Mihya vechazra umehya, which means he can basically go twice and kill, meaning bring a poison that it's endangered. So here again we speak about a very serious and dangerous scorpion. While I was in service, we are in a Sinai desert, and for a 6 month of training in a place called Mitzpeh Ramon, which is very south in Israel, very hot temperature, and it was unbelievable hard training. So one of the things we have a absolutely daily decorum. It's when we wake up in the morning and we need to put back the large army shoes. We have those red shoes. We are obligated to take the socks and to put it around our hands and put two together and pull the hands inside each of the shoe, pull it out, make sure that there's nothing there, move it and put the hand again, and then we can wear it. Why? Because the past group of training before us have a soldier who just wake up in the morning, and since you sleep for so little, you wake up in the morning and he put the shoe on, and it was a Scorpio. I think it's called something like yellow scorpion, if I'm not mistaken. And he bite him, and he ends up in a hospital in a really critical condition to cut or not to cut his feet. So it's what they said here, akrav. They mean to say scorpion that is endanger a person's life. That's different. But the point they try to emphasize is that you should focus. And if you just receive a phone call and you forgot to turn off your cell phone, right? Or if someone call your name and you are still in the middle of the Amidah, please, Rav Sheshet said, focus. Meitivei, nafal legova arayot, ein meidin alav shemet. So now this ruling is questioned. What they said, if a person fell into lion's den, one cannot bear witness, right? That he may die. Why? Because you don't know how the lion was what situation. If they are not hungry, so they may just leave you alone. It depends. You read the story of Daniel, right, in the Tanakh. נפל לחפירה מלאה נחשים ועקרבים, מעידין עליו שמת. So it's like the story of Yosef, of Joseph in the Bible, right? If a person fall in the pit with snakes and scorpio, right? So you can bear witness that he dead, which means you see that in that sense is a contradiction to what we say earlier, that snakes can sometimes be dangerous. They can do some type of bite that can kill a person. So why we differentiate earlier between scorpio and snake? So the Gemarah answered and they said, Shane hatam de agav itetza mazkei. Okay, what we said earlier, we said that with animals you have to be careful. If you watch, it was a guy in Australia that always playing animals, and he was a big shot until one time, if you remember, stingray. Stingers.
Stung him underwater,
yeah. So it means, in general term, you can ask those people in our community who are involved with animals, and we have so many, they'll tell you, as long as you don't aggravate those animals, they are friendly. But here they said, Agav itzetza mazkei, which means that because he came there and aggravate them, they are in a pit, and he came there, he fall in the pit, and all of a sudden he aggravate them, they don't expecting that, then the reason that it's like create a reaction. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Ra'ash varim posek. Now, again, we speak about interruption, and remember the mindset. The mindset is, the Tosefta brought here a Yerushalmi that said, which means if the snake come to him in such an anger, right, that it's clear that it's going to do something to him, right? Again, you have to understand this mindset. So they ask here, when it's come to, for example, a bull. So it's a different if you run to a bull and with a red flag, right? Or it's a mu'ad, is someone who's constantly create dangers and they have already the reputation, or versus someone who's friendly and not start up with you, right? So he said, Amar Rabbi Yitzchak, Ra'ash varim posek. If one observe bulls, he should interrupt his prayer. Why? The Tanya Rav Oshaya, marchikim mishor tam 50 ama, umishor mu'ad kimlo einav. When you have short time in Gemarah, we studied several years ago, in the several places in Bava Kama, that if it's a bull, that it's unfortunately only one time did something. So as long as it's one time or even twice, we're not considering that it's something that endangers to public. You have to put him to sleep, or you have to do something with him, that the owner is with serious responsibility of endangers the public. Versus mu'ad, our category of mu'ad, meaning some animals that already did something for 3 times in a row, then it's a different state. So they said, where we distance ourselves from an innocuous bull 50 amma. Okay, we explained many times that this hand in the Talmudic time is the size of amma. Okay, mishor mu'ad, from bull that grows habitually, which means it's already 3 times in a row, one after the other, that he was in dangerous. Rashi explained here, Muad, it gored on three earlier occasions, which means it's a really dangerous animal, Kimlo Einav, as far as the eyes can see. Tana Mishmei de Rabbi Meir, we learn from Rabbi Meir, Reish Torah bedikula slik leagra ushdei darga mitutach. Meaning, it's like in a way an allegory. They said that even if the reish, meaning the rosh, the head of the bull is buried in its feeding basket, which means Rashi said that a feeding, it's a field with things around the bull's head and neck. Okay, the slik leagra, go up to the roof, and ushdei darga mitutach, and throw away the ladder under you, which means it's not. Rashi said here that you shouldn't take it literally. Rashi used here the word klomar. You look at my book and klomar Rashi says lav davka. Klomar is zaher mimenu harbe, which means don't take it literally that the bull not climb a ladder, right? It's idea. You should be very careful with that. Amar Shmuel, hanei lebeshor shachor uvyomei nisan, mipnei shehasatan meraked lo ben karnav. So he said that this apply only with the black bull and the day of Nisan, because they said that the Satan dance between his horse. So what does that mean? There's several things. Rashi explained here, because that time of Nisan, it's the time of the early spring. So now you see it's dry, and you have all this grass, and the bull is around the field, so he's become the mood change. So he is overcome with a destructive urge. He have like he has mental state change, and he has like evil inclinations. Some Mefarshim said that here is a proof that animals also have a yetzer hara, an evil inclination. Tanu Rabbanan, rabbis teach us, Ma'aseh b'makom echad she'aya arod v'aya mazik et habriyot. It was a place that it was an arod. Arod, it's a crossbreed of a snake and a toad, which is that Rashi said it in Chulin, that it's a combination of two. But basically it was an endangered animal, okay? Ba'u ve'odi'u lo leRabbi Chanina ben Dosa. They came and informed Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa that this is a dangerous animal that endangers people. Heru lo et choro. This is an amazing story. So they show Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa the place that this type of arod, this type of dangerous animals is there and endanger people. Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa, there are many stories in the Talmud that he was a poor and very, very righteous man. Natan akevo al pi achor. You can take it either figuratively or literally, but basically, literally meaning he placed his heel over the mouth of his barrow, which means he have it over there. Yatzau neshachov amet oto arod. So the arod exited and bite whom? Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa, but nothing happened to Rabbi Chanina, but the arod died. There are certain animals that what Ran told me the other day, that certain animals, especially that what upon their serious biting, they can die themselves from from doing so. So basically that arod tried to bite Rabbi Chanina. He beat him, but nothing happened to Rabbi Chanina, yet the arod died. Natalo al ktefo, so he places upon his shoulder. Ve'vio lebet Midrash, he brought him to the yeshiva, the place that they study. Amar lahem, Rabbi Chanina ben Dosa said to the students, listen carefully what happened here. Re'u banai, come see my sons. אין arod ממית, אלא החטא ממית. Don't put on the arod, on this danger animal that creates death. That's not what happened here. The sin created the death, which means those animals, for example, are emissary of something above them that send them to do something. Which means when you see distractions, when you see a situation like animal biting someone, in his way of approaching things, he says that that is emissary of one above that want to do something. It's just it's God agent in carry out a sentence against a person. That's what the Gemarah said in Nedarim 41. In other words, that person deserve a punishment because of sins. באותה שעה אמרו, when they heard it's a very strong statement from Rabbi Hanina, so they said, Oy lo le'adam shepagah bo arod, woe to a person that arod hit him, ve'oy lo le'arod shepagah bo Rabbi Hanina Mendoza, woe to arod, to that animal that hit the wrong person, Rabbi Hanina Mendoza, because Rabbi Hanina Mendoza was such a tzaddik. So what happened is he tried to bite Rabbi Hanina Mendoza, and as a result he himself died, which means he has the wrong address, right? Wrong address, and the whole idea of the putting his heel over the arod's hole, it's in a way looks like a little difficult. So Maharsha explain that the reason it's when it's it's a really dangerous situation and endangers the public, then a righteous one who are to some extent tainted by sin, so there is a different situation. But there's someone like Rabbi Hanina was such a person that he has such a level of high piety that and such a level of close to Hashem that that above a natural law. So in that sense, it's like the righteous man decree and Hashem follows. So because Rabbi Hanina felt that it endangers to public, then he was able to do something above a regular nature. The Mishnah said, "Mazkirim gvurot gshamim betchiyat hametim." So now this Mishnah speaks of additions to the regular formula of Amidah, and they said one mentions the might of the rains, and he said, as we said in the Amidah, Gvurot Gshamim, the revival of the we said a revival of the dead. In that second bracha we mentioned that request for a rain. Ush'ela beberkat hashanim, and during the prayer of the blessing of the year, we also mention Moshiv ruach umorid v'ten tal u'matar libracha. Okay, to bring the door as a blessing. V'havdala bechonen adat, and ata chonantanu, the blessing of the havdala, who graciously grant us knowledge, we ask in chonen adat. This is the blessing we ask God for knowledge. Rabbi Akiva Omer, Omra bracha revi'it bifnei atzma. So Rabbi Akiva hold that Havdalah is recited as independent fourth blessing. Soon you see the halachot. Rabbi Eliezer Omer be'odah. Rabbi Eliezer said that it is recited in the 17th blessing of the Amidah prayer. When we said the thanksgiving, we should incorporate Havdalah. So the Gemarah said, Mazkirim gvurot shamim ma'itama. We learn in the Mishnah that one mentions the might of the rains in the second blessing of the Amidah, meaning the blessing of a revival of the dead. So the Gemarah asks, what is the reason that the might of the rains is mentioned specifically in the blessing? What's the reason? Amar Rav Yosef said, Mitoch sheshkula kitchiyat hamitim, because the might of the rains is equivalent to resurrection of the dead. The Talmud Yerushalmi said, as the rain revives the new life in a plant world. So that's the reason. Lefichach kva'ua b'tchiyat hametim. So that's the reason we put it in the tchiyat hametim. ושאלה בברכת השנים. We also said that is a request for rain in the blessing of the years. מה תמה? Why we do that? What's the reason that specifically in that blessing? אמר רב יוסף, מתוך שהיא פרנסה, רב יוסף said, because the rain is a component of what? Of sustenance. לפיכך, consequently, קבעוה בברכת השנים. We put it, we incorporate in the blessing of prosperity or livelihood as a part of what we ask for great abundance of livelihood. והבדלה בכונן הדת, and the separation, the הבדלה in the blessing of God who bring us wisdom, grant knowledge. מה תמה? Why we incorporate in that? And that's, by the way, soon you see the halacha. אמר רב יוסף, מתוך שהיא חוכמה, קבעוה בברכת חוכמה. Because it is wisdom. What is the wisdom? That you separated between what? Between the secular week and the Holy Shabbat. The ability of separation and differentiation between the two entities, it's involved with intelligence, with wisdom. So when you ask God to grant you with wisdom, it's proper to incorporate something that involved with wisdom, which is Havdalah. God, we granted us with the ability to separate between the daily mundane and the Holy Shabbat. The Rabbanan Amri, and the sages said, Mitoch shehi chol, because Havdalah is the distinction between the regular secular and the sacred. So they said lefichach, and consequently kva'ua bebirkat hachol. They put it in the blessing of the weekday, right? Meaning we have the first three blessings that you do it regardless if it's a Shabbat or a weekday. You have the three brachot, right? The Magen Avraham, Mechaya Metim, Akel HaKadosh. These three brachot, the beginning, regardless if it's a Shabbat, festival, or regular day, you say it, right? So the idea of the blessing who graciously granted knowledge is the first blessing right after the first three brachot, that you do it only during the week. Amar Rav Ami, so since we mentioned the wisdom, Rav Ami said, Gdola de'ah, look how great is the gift that God granted us with knowledge, shenitna bitchilat bracha shel chol, that was given at the beginning of the weekday blessings, which means that it's a strong indication of the significance of that. So, several halachot. First halacha, mazkirin gvurot shemim beitchilat hametim. We said that we mentioned Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, the might of the rain, in the resurrection of the dead, which is the second bracha. So the Shulchan Aruch Or HaChaim 114 said, at the time of a great rainy season, we shall mention the second blessing of the Amidah prayer, the blessing of the divine might. That's derived from here. The second one, Veshe'ela beberkat hashanim, the second halacha, the request of the rain, the blessing of the year. So Rambam in Ilchot Tfilah, chapter 2 said, the time of the rainy season, what is the rainy season? From the last day of Sukkot. Because we don't ask at the beginning of Sukkot, since we're sitting in a sukkah, we don't want the rain, correct? So from the time, the end of Sukkot, until the springtime, the Passover, right? Especially in the land of Israel, is this the beginning of the Zayin Mar Cheshvan, the 7th of the month of Mar Cheshvan, and outside of Israel it's around December 6, which is 60 days after the Tishrei. So this is the time that we request for rain, and we inserted in the blessing of the years, the 9th blessing of the Amidah. והבדלה בכונן הדעת, and we're asking God's knowledge, granted us knowledge in כונן הדעת. So again, the Rambam in הלכות תפילה, and again chapter 2 said that the Havdalah, when we have the conclusion of the Shabbat and the holidays, so the proper is that we ask God for knowledge, and when we ask God for knowledge, it's appropriate at that evening that we incorporate asking God to help us with, since He granted us knowledge, we said, Vatavdel Hashem Elokeinu, the Almighty God separate between holy and sacred, between the weekday and Shabbat. So grant us that we will understand the difference between sinning and doing good. That's part of Ata Chonen. ואמר רבי עמי, גדולה דעה שניתנה בין שתי אותיות. Rabbi Ami said that great is the knowledge that was placed between two letters. What does that mean? שנאמר כי אל דעות השם. The pasuk said in Shmuel that Hashem, God of knowledge, is the Lord. So you see the word de'ah, meaning knowledge, and you see the word kel and the word Hashem, two attributes of God before and after, which means when you granted the knowledge, it's a gift from God and it's a gift from God. Remember that it's like attachment in both ways. Don't ever think other way. You should remember that this knowledge is from God. Vice versa, v'chol mi she'ein bo de'ah, which means since knowledge is a blessing, whoever is without knowledge, asur lerachem alav. It's forbidden to have compassion upon him. Shene'emar, as it's written in Isaiah 27, ki lo ambinotu al ken lo irachamehu oseu. He said because he speaks about nation, that the people are not wisdom, so the Creator has no compassion upon them, and the Creator will not be gracious to them. Okay, so there is a book called Yalkut Beurim. He brought about 13 explanations for this line. Why I'm mentioning this book in abbreviation? Because it's a little bit mind-boggling statement. What you're saying, that someone who's no knowledge, you should have no compassion on him. Let me share with you the abbreviation of this statement. What does that mean? First one is from a book called Yad Ramah, that he quotes a Talmud in Bava Batra 8 that said that the Mishnah said in ethics, Derech Eretz Kadma LeTorah. The proper trait is preceding the Torah, which means before you engage with Torah, you have to have the proper trait, the proper personality, before you start the Torah. So he said, someone who doesn't have that, you should not have compassion on him, which means he explained that he's not incorporating the proper personality as preceding process of inquiring Torah. The second was his Rashba. He said that the wisdom or knowledge, it's a person that, like, especially now in the month of Elul, he's able to regret his misdeeds, and he'll be able to do teshuvah and return to God, etc. And as a result, he creates some process of mechila, of forgiveness, etc. Someone who has no knowledge, doesn't have the sense of understanding, he doesn't regret his misdeed. So therefore, if he's not regretting it, we should not have compassion on him. The Ritva said, again in Bava Batra 8, so he said that because we are responsible for each other, so if sadness befall upon us, it's because of people who would not use their wisdom to do what is right. Maharsha said in Sanhedrin 92, he said that God created person with the knowledge, but he is a self-destructive. You see some people like that who use their knowledge for destruction. You see that some hold World War II began with intellectuals, people who use their knowledge in a very bad way. So in other words, he is not part which God created him originally. He misused this ability of God's granted him the knowledge. Yoetz is another book, said that God granted him the ability to learn, and because he is arrogant, because he is belittled and negligent of learning, his evil inclination overcome his life with vanity instead of encourage himself to study. That's the reason you should not have compassion. There is a book called Kedusha Ubracha. He quoted another book that called Smichat Chachamim. They say that Vehalachta bidrachav, that the person should follow God's way. So because the person did not follow God's, he followed his desire, ta'avot. Therefore, we should not have compassion on him because he doesn't follow God's instruction. Just to show you another few, and we go back to our sugya, Maharal said in a book, Nedivot Olam, that he's isolated himself. He is not mechubar le'anashim. He is not connected to other people. Wisdom is not a person who is aloof, who is staying away from people. Is someone who is really part of the people world. Since he distanced himself from others, he is. We should not have compassion on him. He disassociate himself from others. The great book Mesilat Yesharim, which is a book of Musar, book of especially in this week's parasha Kitavo, it's a series of admonition. He said in the second chapter, because he doesn't have compassion on himself, he doesn't understand himself, he doesn't have the self-search of himself. So because of that, he has no brain, and in that sense, we should not have compassion upon him because he again is not using it properly. Chidushei Harim, the great Gera Rebbe, Hasidic Rebbe, said that he put it via positiva, that we have the obligation when we pray for wisdom, we have the obligation to pray for someone who misuses his knowledge, that Hashem open his heart to do teshuvah and bring him the wisdom and allocate his great intelligence and intellectual ability in a proper way. Ben Yoyada, which is yesterday was his yortzeit, the great Ben Ish Chai, he said that when you are good and doing good to someone who's wicked, he is or her not expressing appreciation. They just even slapped on your face more. In other words, they don't take it as a gracious person and a good-hearted person. They interpret it as a naivety or weakness. So when you do good to someone who's not good, it's not doing any good. So that's the meaning of someone who has no wisdom. You should not have compassion on him. Birkat Aaron said that if you follow that idea, it means that when he asking God, or when he follow his desire, those who ask for something that's not good for them, it's basically a self-destructive. It's like a person said, we explained the other day from Rabbi Elish, the whole idea of Retzon Yoreav Yaseh Ve'et Shavatam Yishma V'Yoshien, that the person asks God for something that is not good for him, and God granted him what he wanted, and then he realized that it was a mistake, and he asked for the wrong thing because it was a self-destructive for him, and then he asked God to take it away from him. So in that sense, sometimes someone has no wisdom, he asks for things that it's destructive for him. We should not have compassion on him. We should not. If a child said, imagine if someone was addicted to drug, God forbid, and he go and he said, give me my drug or give me my alcohol, right? You're going to give it to him. You shouldn't have compassion on him, and even if he beg for that, you know that he's destructive for him. So Birkat Aaron said that this request is destructive, don't listen to him. And the last interpretation is Birkat Peretz, who said in Parshat Beshalach, he said that this person, it's called a kfui tova, which means ungrateful person. A person that interpreted goodness, almost similar to what we said earlier, as a weakness. And it's called in Hebrew, meshalem ra'at tachat tova, that he's bringing evil instead of appreciation for the good. So again, all these 13 interpretation of that explain what we said here. Mi she'ein bo de'ah, one who it's forbidden to have compassion upon someone who has no wisdom. Amar Rabbi Lazar. Rabbi Lazar said, Gadol mikdash shenitan ben shte otiyot. The Beit HaMikdash, the Holy Temple, is great, that again, it was placed between two letters, that two names of Hashem. Shene'emar, as we said it every day in Shirat Hayam, it's from the Exodus, He said, Pa'alta Hashem Mikdash Hashem, that you dwell, you have made Lord, the Beit HaMikdash, the temple, Hashem, which your hands have prepared. So since you would Hashem, Mikdash, Hashem, which means the Beit HaMikdash, it's like the wisdom. They have this wrap up with Hashem. Kabbalah said, and we don't go there, just to give you the idea, there is a concept of Sovev Kol Almin, that God is around the world, and Memale Kol Almin, that God is not only transcendental God, but it's also a living God. It's a combination of the two. That's the concept of duality in Kabbalah. V'amar Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Elazar add to this, Kol Adam sheyesh bo de'ah, if via positiva, anyone who has the knowledge, כאילו נבדה בית המקדש בימיו. It's like the Beit HaMikdash, the holy temple, was built in his days. דעה ניתנה בין שתי אותיות, מקדש ניתן בין שתי אותיות. What we just said, that the wisdom is between two words of name of Hashem, and the temple is between the two words of the name of Hashem. So since the knowledge and the Beit HaMikdash and the temple, it's all connected both ways of name of God, so therefore he says anyone who with knowledge is like the holy temple was built in that day, built in his day. So Torah Aaron of the Ramah explained that that's the whole idea, that anyone with knowledge can achieve ultimate closest to God. It is like the temple was built in his days. Matkifla Rav Acha Karchina'a. By the way, that's the feeling I have the privilege many times when I study with my teachers, that you feel like you are in the Beit HaMikdash. You're feeling like you have so much wisdom to learn, and it's so high atmospheres that you feel that you are high level. When Yosef came yesterday, when I took him to Ner Israel Yeshiva, to my Chavruta, we studied together for almost 10 years there. So he said it's like you get an oxygen. When you walk in the Beit HaMidrash and you see so many hundred people study together, and you get this atmosphere of Kedusha, that you are like in the time of Beit HaMikdash. It's so much wisdom and so much holiness. מתקיף לרב אחא קרחינאה. אלא מעתה גדולה נקמה שנשנה בין שתי אותיות שנאמר על נקמות השם. He said, you can go via negativa. If you tell me so, the same should hold true for vengeance. What does that mean? They said God is revenge. We said every Wednesday a quotation from Psalm 94 that God is revenge, that was placed between two letters. God is vengeance. Hashem, God of vengeance, shine forth. El nekamot Hashem. El is the attribute of God, and Hashem is the attribute of God. And you hear vengeance in between. Amar lei, so he said to him, in, yes, b'milta miha gdolahi. At least in its place, it is appropriate context, which means it is great. V'hainu de'amar ula shte nekamot halalu lama. This is what Ula, one of the greatest rabbis, said. Always we mention that when you have just a name, is Gadol Meraban Shmo. If you don't give a title, he is a very high level of rabbi. So Ula said, why are these two vengeances mentioned in a single verse? Why you have the two attribute of vengeances in both sides? He said, Achat letova ve'achat lera'a. One is positive and one is negative. Dechtiv hofia me'ar paran. When Moshe Rabbeinu said in Deuteronomy 33 that God shined forth from Mount Paran, so that's God venges us against wicked. That the attributes of God venges us for evil, for good. The other one lera'ah, for evil. It's written dechtiv en lekamot Hashem en lekamot ofia, that God is venges us and shine forth, which regard to a certain level of punishment. So again, it's an attribute of God for vengeances versus God that bringing good. Now we go back to the Mishnah. Rabbi Akiva אומר, אומרה ברכה רביעית בפני עצמה. Rabbi Akiva said that a person should say the Havdalah as a fourth blessing, as a separate blessing. Amar le Rav Shemen bar Abba le Rabbi Yochanan. Since we established the Amidah prayer, and while we established the Amidah prayer, we have the certain decorum. So he said, Mikdi anshe knesset gdola. Since you consider the men of the great assembly, 120 rabbis, sages, late prophets, they put together the formulation of the Amidah. Tiknu lahem liYisrael. They ordain the blessing for Israel, for the nation, Berachot utfilot, blessing, prayer, Kedushot ve'avdalot, the Kiddush and the Avdalot, and the formulation of the Havdalah. So since they indicate all of this, Nechazei heicha tikun. Since let us simply see where the prayer ordain that Avdalah is recited. How you have even a dispute in this matter, which means this is like something that is kavua. You do it in such a decorum like tadir. It's always we do that. So what do you mean by saying that you make a separate blessing for Havdalah? Amar le. So he responded and he said, "Batchila kva'ua batfila." When it was a large returning from the Jewish people from the Babylon exile, as you remember, we talk about those great leaders like Ezra and Nehemiah that led the Jewish people with the permission from the Persian ruler to go and build the Beit HaMikdash. So the men of the great assembly put together the Havdalah prayer, which means part of the Amidah, instead of doing it as a separate over the wine. Why? Because it was a time of a great poverty and people cannot afford to have a wine. You know, we live in a generation, thank God, that is abundance. But we have to remember that we are part of our history, that it was a time that people are in a great state of poverty. So therefore, they incorporate in the Amidah, so it's involved with everybody else alike. He'eshiru, when people became affluent and they are able to do it independently, kva'u alakos, so they remove the Havdalah prayer and make it a separate blessing over the cup of wine, right? So, or the Gemarah said in Psachim, can be a Chemar Medina over very important beverages. In Psachim 107, the Gemarah said. So since we say that Havdalah is not part of Atachon Antenu, part of the prayer, right? He'enu chazru kvaru betfilah. And then, you know, it's like fluctuation of the market of the economy. Suddenly they again, unfortunately, became impoverished. And the minute that happened, they reverted to original enchantment. And again, making the Havdalah as part of the prayer. והם אמרו, המבדיל בתפילה צריך שיבדיל על הכוס. So at that time they said that one who recited Havdalah doing prayer must recite Havdalah a second time over the cup of wine, as long as he is able financially to do it. Do you know the source of the gefilte fish, by the way? Just as a side note. Nowadays in America it's almost delicacy, right? But if you research, you see that it was a time of great poverty in Eastern Europe, and people cannot afford, the community cannot afford fish. So it was one gvir, one rich man, that brought the fish, and then they want to share with everyone, so they have the idea, the great tradition to eat fish on Shabbat. So they combine a relatively small part of fish with a lot of other things, like flowers and potatoes and onions and other thing that was available, since fish was so expensive. And they call it, in that Polish Yiddish, gefilte fish, because the part of the fish was small, yet when they split it among the community, so everyone can partake with that. So in a sense, it's like a matzah, it's like a bread of poverty, the bread of the... Now all of a sudden, it's for some people it's like tradition, whatever. There are people who call it the gefilte yich or whatever. Especially those who come with container that carry such a smell. I never associate myself with that. But the point is, originally it wasn't a sign of like, anyway. So here is again, it was ups and down when it's come to the financial situation of a nation. So that's the reason why you see the difference, and we said it twice in a sense. We said atachon antanu nuchanen adat, yet we do a separate havdalah on the kiddush cup. So it's a combination of two financial situations in the past. Itmar nami. Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. אנשי כנסת הגדולה תקנו להם לישראל ברכות ותפילות קדושות והבדלות. That's what we said earlier. בתחילה קבעוה בתפילה. At the beginning, when we are not in a financial situation, we make it with הבדלה, with prayer, recited over wine. העשירו קבעו על הכוס. Again, the same idea that when they became affluent and rich, they make it over the cup of wine. חזרו והענו קבעו בתפילה. And then became again impoverished, so they make a fixed הבדלה in התחונן, in the prayer. והם אמרו, and they said, המבדיל בתפילה צריך שיבדיל על הכוס. One who's recited doing the התחונן, yet you have to recite Avdalah again over the cup of wine, as long as he is in the financial ability to do it. And that's, by the way, what we are doing. Now, if one missing, you know, by halacha, just as a side note, as long as you're saying Avdalah, you're saying Avdalah. But let's say you miss a tachonen, and you want to prepare the Avdalah, so the best, in short halacha, you said Baruch without name of God. Baruch hamavdil ben kodesh lechol. If you say that line, then you can go ahead and turn on the light or do what needed in order to prepare the Havdalah, if you miss a tachonen. And one of my teachers, Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, he wrote a book in Shmirat Shabbat Kilchata, which was written by Rabbi Neuwirth. He go to all the details how you should do it properly, and it's also available in English. Itmar Nami, it also had been said, Rabba v'Rav Yosef de Amrei Travayu, Rabba v'Rav Yosef they both said, Hamavdil batfila tzarich she'avdil al hakos, which means you have to do both. You have to do it doing the Amidah, and you have to do it separately on the cup. Amar Rabba, umotivnan ashma'atin, but we can challenge our own teaching. How? Ta'a v'lo izkir gvurot shamim beitcha et hametim. If a person made a mistake and he skipped what? Mashiv v'ruach u'morida gashem in a second bracha of the resurrection of the dead. Ush'ela bebirkat hashanim, or he forgot to say what? V'ten talomatar, doing the blessing of the year. Machzirim oto. So at the beginning it was a school of thought that we ask him to repeat the Shmona Esrei, the Amidah. V'havdalah bechonen adat. However, if he miss havdalah, the atachon antanu, doing the prayer of the wisdom, and machzirim oto. We don't ask him to go back and repeat it. Why? He said, mitnei she'achol omra lakos. That's exactly what we said. Because you can do havdalah later over the cup of wine. So it means you can do havdalah later over the cup of wine, so we don't ask you to repeat it. Lo teima. So now it looks like a contradiction. So they said, do not read mipnei she'achol omra lakos, since he is able to recite it over a cup of wine. Ela ema mipnei she'omra lakos. But what you should say is, since he is basically going to recite it over the cup of wine, so it's fine. Itmar nami, it's another citing. Amar Rabbi Binyamin bar Yefet, name of rabbi, Sha'al Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yochanan betzidan, he asked him in the Tzidon. Tzidon is a South Lebanon. Ve'amr la Rabbi Shimon ben Yaakov de min Tzor et Rabbi Yochanan. Some said it is a different name from Tzor. Ve'ana shma'it. And I overheard it, that in the different phase that said, Hamavdil batfila tzarich she'avdil al hakos o lo. Since you said atachon antanu doing the Ma'ariv prayer, so the question is, I already expressed that there is a separation between Shabbat in the week, and I expressed the request for God to serve it. So should I repeat the Havdalah over the cup or not? ואמר לי, צריך שיבדיל על הכוס. Yes, as much as it's good, you mentioned that, but you have to do it separately over the cup of wine. Ibaya lehu. So now we go the other way around. המבדיל על הכוס, מהו שיבדיל בתפילה? If you're going to have Havdalah over the cup of wine, so he must recite Havdalah doing the prayer. Why you need the redundancy? אמר רב נחמן בר יצחק, קל וחומר מתפילה. He said that this is קל וחומר from after mentioned case of someone who's first recited Havdalah doing a prayer. How? ומה תפילה דעיקר תקנתה היא? Since someone said the Havdalah doing the Amidah, which is a part of the takana, of the decree, of the decorum of the Amidah. Amre amavdil batfilah tzach she'avdil lakos. We say that even you do atachon antanu, you have to repeat the Havdalah over the cup of wine. Hamavdil lakos de la v'ikar takanatahi lo kol sheken. So one who first recited Havdalah over the cup of wine, right, which is not a decree, which is not formulated, certainly he has to do Havdalah again doing prayer. Tanya Rav Acha Aricha Kamed Rav Chinana Hamabdil B'Tfilah Meshubach Yoter Mimi She'Yavdil Al HaKos, which means if you put together and you juxtapose the two, Havdalah in doing the prayer and Havdalah over the cup, he said that one who recite Havdalah doing prayer is in a sense more praiseworthy than one who recite Havdalah over the cup of wine. Ve'im ivdil bazo bazo. So if a person does both, which is atachon antanu and Havdalah, yanuchu lo brachot al rosho. She will have blessing upon him. That's the proper way to do it. Aguf akashya. So he said, wait, you're contradicting yourself. Amarta mavdil batfilah meshubach yoter mi she'yavdil al hakos. You just said that it's better to doing it in a tefillah than to do it on a cup of wine. So now you say that one who do both is better. El tefillah lechud asagei. This implies that the Havdalah prayer, it's alone sufficient, right? So it means that it's not necessary to recite Havdalah again over the cup of wine. Ve'adar tani, but then you said, im ivdil bazo bazo yanuchu lo brachot al rosho. But if he does both, so blessing upon him. Ve'kevan nafik leichada ipatar. So now you say that if you said one, it's praiseworthy, it's good. So if he now needs to recite Havdalah again, it's saying bracha that it's not necessary. Why you need to say it again? We said that in the Aseret HaDibrot, in the Ten Commandments, that we should not recite the name of God in vain. And now you tell me that he's praiseworthy if he's saying twice. So why? Ela eimahache. But you rather said as follows: Im hivdil bazo velo hivdil bazo yanuchu lo brachot al rosho. That if someone did one and did not do it in the other, let blessing be upon his head. Be'amina Rav Chizda merav Sheshet ta'ab bazo bazo. Now we go if someone made a mistake and he forget to recite Havdalah in both prayer and over the cup of wine, he made a mistake. Amar le ta'ab bazo bazo chozer larosh. If he make a mistake in regard to both, he must go back to the beginning of prayer and pray again. So since there are conflicting opinions with regard to reciting Havdalah over the cup of wine after reciting the Amidah prayer, one opinion hold that it is appropriate to recite Havdalah second time, while the other hold that it is prohibited. Amar le Ravina le Rava. Ravina said to Rava, what is the Havdalah? Hilchetamai. What is the halacha in the case of the Havdalah in Kiddush? So he said, Amar le, he responded, he said, Ki Kiddush, ma Kiddush, af al gav de mekadesh bitzlota, mekadesh akasa, af Havdalah name, af Havdal de mavdil bitzlota, mavdil akasa. He said, he tried to make an analogy, a really comparison, that it's an equivalent, the Kiddush and Havdalah. Just in the case of Kiddush, although one recited Kiddush in the Amidah prayer, he must also recite the Kiddush again over the cup of wine. So also the same about Havdalah. Even one recite Havdalah in the Amidah prayer, he must recite Havdalah again over the cup of wine. Next, in the Mishnah said Rabbi Eliezer Omer Boda. Remember, the Mishnah Rabbi Eliezer says that it's recited in the seventh blessing, which is the blessing of thanksgiving. Rabbi Zeira Hava Rachev Chamra. So now we express the halacha with the story. Rabbi Zera was riding a donkey. Hava kashakel ve'azil Rabbi Chia Baravin Batrei. Rabbi Chia Baravin was coming and walking after him. אמר לי, ודאי דאמריתו משמי דרבי יוחנן לך כרבי אליעזר ביום טוב שחל להיות אחר השבת. אמר לי, אם. He said to him, is it true that you said in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, the halacha is according with the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer in a case of festival that occurs directly after Shabbat, right? So in a situation like that, a person cannot recite Havdalah in the blessing, right, of the Atachonen, because it's not included in the Amidah prayer in a festival. So there is no alternative but to follow the Rabbi Eliezer rulings. So he responded, he said yes. Halacha. So the Gemarah said, so according to that opinion, Michlal de Flige. So you see that is a dispute of this opinion. So where do we find that dispute? Velo Plige. So the Gemarah rejected it and he said, and they don't dispute his opinion. Veha Plige Rabbanan. Don't the rabbi dispute this opinion as the placing Havdalah with Atachonen? Eimar de Plige Rabbanan bishar yemot hachama. You have to say that the rabbis dispute Rabbi Elazar during the rest of the days of the year, when the option to recite Havdalah in the blessing. B'yom tov shachar liot achar Shabbat mi plige. But what do you do in the Yom Tov, fall of the Shabbat, because you don't recite this Atachonen? Vehapaleg Rabbi Akiva. So doesn't Rabbi Akiva dispute his opinion? They hold that Havdalah recited as independent fourth blessing. So it's a dispute. How we do it? Because it's the Yom Tov after Shabbat. Atu kol hashana kulam yavdinan ke Rabbi Akiva dehashta neiku v'navid kvatei. So the entire year will act according to Rabbi Akiva. So now when the festival occurred directly after Shabbat, how we'll be able to do it? How we'll be able to follow his opinion? Kol hashana kulam haytam lo avdinan ke Rabbi Akiva. While the whole year we don't follow Rabbi Akiva. Detmanei srei takun, teshasrei lo tikun. They made the Amidah the 18 blessing, 18, right? But not 19. Hachaname, here too, shav takun, tmanei lo takun. So the sages instituted 7 blessings, they not institute 8 blessings. So consequently, Rabbi Akiva's opinion is not taken into consideration here. Amar leilav halacha itmar ela matin itmar. So Rabbi Zera said to him, it is not the halacha, which according to Rabbi Eliezer, that was stated, and it's no, it's the favor of the that in the name of Rabbi Yochanan we follow the Rabbi Yochanan. The itmar Rav Yitzchak bar Rav Dina Amar Mishum Rabbeinu halacha v'amre la matin. One is inclined to favor of the opinion of Rabbi Elazar. So just a short halacha. They said that the Rambam said in the Hilchot Berachot, "Hamevarech bracha she'ena tzricha." One will recite an unnecessary blessing. One will recite a blessing doing a meal over food that was already exempted from blessing. One bring forth bread from the earth is considered by the Magen Avraham said by the rabbinic law as if he took God's name is in vain. So one must avoid reciting 2 blessings when one blessing will suffice, so you don't need to say it. And also ta'ah bezo v'zo, if one make a mistake in the Amidah prayer and over the cup of wine. So he said, the Shulchan Aruch said in Orach Chaim 294, and also Talmidei Rabbeinu Yonah said that one who failed to recite Havdalah in the Amidah prayer, And later, before reciting Havdalah of the cup of wine, he must repeat the evening Amidah prayer and recite Havdalah in the fourth blessing. Since eating was an action that he was not permitted to perform, he is referred to as one who made a mistake, who erred. Back to our subjects, Rabbi Yochanan Amar Modim, Rabbi Chia bar Abba Amar Nir'im. Rabbi Yochanan said that there is no dispute here, and the rabbis agree with Rabbi Lazar, which means Rabbi Chia bar Abba said that it was established in Rabbi Eliezer's opinions appeared to be correct. Amar Rabbi Zeira. So in all the different opinions, Rabbi Zeira said, Nekot de Rabbi Chia bar Abba b'yadai. You should follow the statement of Rabbi Chia bar Abba. The Dayek, that he was very strict and clear, lucid, ugmar shma'ata, and learned the final halacha, mipuma de Mara Shapir, right, that he learned from the original statement of his teacher, kerachava de Pumbedita, like it was a sage by the name of Rachava, that he lived in a city of Pumbedita. There's many interpretations of what's the Rachava. Some Geonim explain that Rachava was a uncertain, whatever he heard a statement in the name of Rabbi Yehuda, the Tana, or Rabbi Yehuda the Amora, and therefore he repeated the statement in a manner that include both. Others rejected it, like Rabbeinu Hananel and Rashi, and they said that he repeated what he learned from his teacher verbatim, which the way that he heard it. The Amar Rachava Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Har Habayit. So here is the example. Rachava said to Rabbi Yehuda, Temple Mount, סתיו כפול היה, והיה סתיו לפנים מסתיו, which means the Temple Mount has a double stav. Double stav, it's from the Greek word. It means that stav, it's the roofed row of columns, and stav referred to a row of columns that is attached to a building. So here the Gemarah refers to a double stav, two rows of columns. So he said that Rachava used the Rabbi Yehuda rabbi's language to describe the structure of the temple, and the rows of column it's contained, a row within the row. So he did not employ the common term yitzba, but stav. Amar Rav Yosef, Ana lo hayadana velo hayadana ela miderav ushmuel yadana takim la marganita de Bavel. He said, we don't know this or that. What we know, it's what institute a pearl for us in Bavel, in Babylon. So they combine of first blessing in the festival and the formula of the Havdalah parallel to what we said the first blessing. What is it? And that's, by the way, what we're using in practical matter. He says, "V'todienu Hashem Elokeinu mishpatei tzidkecha," that we said in the Havdalah when we have Shabbat and Yom Tov, right? That God makes us known, law of God, righteous laws, ותלמדנו לעשות חוקי רצונך, and you taught us to perform your will degree, ותנחילו זמני ששון מחגים דבר, and you've given us the heritage season joy, and a festival of voluntary offering. That's, again, it's combined both the Shabbat and Yom Tov, וחגי נדבה, ותורשם קדושת שבת וכבוד מועד וחגת הרגל, בין קדושת שבת לקדושת יום טוב הבדלת, you separate between Shabbat and יום טוב, ואת יום השביעי מששת ימי מעשה קידשת, and you sanctified the 7th day from the rest of the week. הבדלת וקידשת, you have distinguished and sanctified את עמך ישראל בקדושתך, people Israel with your holiness, and the blessing ותיתן לנו, you give us. Mishnah. So the Mishnah said, האומר על כאן ציפור יגיעו רחמך, ועל טוב ייזכר שמך, מודים משתקים אותו. Which means, one says while praying, and he's like, add an extra prayer. He said, you are compassionate and greatest, that your mercy extended like to the bird nest, and or he said the goodness that you accomplish on behalf of your name remembered. We give thank you, we thank you. So we silent him. Why? Because soon the Gemarah explained to us that let's say Rashi said here, אנשים היו מראים עצמם כמתכוונים להעמיק בלשון תחנונים, a person shows that he intends to get in depth in a language of supplication, ואומרים רחום וחנון אתה, they said God is full of compassion and mercy, ועל כאן ציפור הגיעו רחמך, שאמרת לשלח את האם, או שאומר על טוב שאתה עושה לנו, יזכר שמך, או שאומר מודים מודים משתקים אותו. So basically we silent him, and the Gemarah soon will explain. בישלמה מודים מודים משתקים אותו, we understand that only when we silence him, when we give thanks, when you give thanks, why? משום דמחזי כשתי רשויות. Because especially those who know a little bit Greek methodology, they're talking about, more than one God, which is absolutely nonsensical. So, because we believe that, monotheistic belief, that it's only one God and unique God and only one and nothing else, so therefore when you repeat something twice, it's appear like he have two deities, which is against the foundation of Judaism, and that's in expression of two deities, one after the others. Ve'al tov yizacher shmecha nami. And again, when you use the term of for the goodness that you accomplish on our behalf is your name remember, it's also understandable why we silent him, mashma ala tova velo ala ra'a. So it means that you're thanking only for good and not on the bad. Utnan, and we learn, chayav adam levarech ala ra'a keshem shevarech ala tova. A person should thank God for things that appear not so good or bad, the same as he thank for the good. One of my teacher, we study in the class in those days, and in Jerusalem, and we have a teacher that he was originally a German Jew, very cold personality, and we call in those days German Jew a cold personality, great teacher. So we have a student that unfortunately the child was involved in an accident. So we all pray for that person. So one day, again it's Israeli culture, so the student opened the door and walk in and start screaming, thank God, and everybody hugged and kissed that person and was happy. He says the child opened their eyes and started communicating because it was like in a state of a coma for like a couple of days. And everybody was happy and hugged, and the teacher was standing there like cold as a cold can be. So that person ran to the teacher and he said, thank God that the child is now awoke and start talking. And the teacher was a cold, but such a smart man, turned to him and he said, do you thank God if everything turned around the other way around? In other words, you are hugging everybody and so thankful. Naturally, when your child opened his eyes and were able to communicate with the world. But you're going to tell me that you thank God if things turn around the other way? However, when one says, you are so compassionate and gracious that your mercy extends to the bird's nest, what is the reason that we silence him? What imply has he committed? Plige batrei Amorai b'ma'aravot. Two Amoraim, two rabbis, Amoraim, we explained it's like the 4th and the 5th century in Babylon, they have a different opinion. B'ma'araba, I'm sorry, not Babylon, in the west. Babylon is the other side, the west is in Eretz Israel. Ma'araba, it's in the land of Israel. Rabbi Yosei bar Ravin Rabbi Yosei bar Zevida, two great rabbis that live in Ma'araba in Eretz Israel. Chad Amar, one said that we silence him. Why? Mipnei shematil kin'ah b'ma'aseh bereishit. That he instills jealousy in the work of creation. What does that mean? Rashi explained here, lomar al ele chas velo al sh'ar briotav. That it's God have compassion upon some creatures, but not of the others. Why? V'chad amar, and another interpretation, mipnei she'oseh midotav shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu rachamim ve'enan el hagzerot. You try to make God in our anthropomorphic, in our language way, that it's like God is God of mercy, and sometimes it's way above our understanding, and commandments are not based on God compassion. Commandments, it's a God decree that we give the opportunity to express that we are servant of the Lord, submitting to God's wishes. So therefore, Rashi explained, mitzvotav is a commandment. V'lo lerachamim asa. God did not did it for only for compassion and mercy. Ela להטיל על ישראל חוקי גזירותיו. He wants to put upon us his decree. Why? להודיע, to proclaim, שהם עבדיו, that we are God's servant, ושומרי מצוותיו וגזירותיו חוקותיו. That we just do what God asks us to do. Why? So explain, אף בדברים שיש לשטן ולעקום להשיב בהם ולומר מה צורך המצווה הזאת. Even the places that others will say, what's the purpose of all of that? ההוא דנחית, here's a story. A person went down, went down meaning that person went to serve as a chazan, as the leader, kamei de rabbah, before rabbah. ואמר, and he recited, and he said, אתה חסת על כאן ציפור, אתה תחוס ורחם עלינו. You, God, have a mercy on the bird's nest. That's the Deuteronomy, what we read in the parasha last week in Kitei said that God have compassion on the bird's nest. So you should have mercy on us. אמר Rabba said to him, כמה ידע צורבה מרבנן לרצוי דמראה. How well this great, smart Torah scholar know how to win favor of God. אמר לאביי, so Abaye said to him, והמשתקין אותו תנן. We just learned in Mishnah that the person that add too much attribute to God, we stop him from doing it. So he said, ורבא נמי לחדוד אלה אביי ודבאי. So Rabbah too was aware of the Mishnah, only wished to sharpen Abaye, which means that Abaye should challenge him by citing the Mishnah. In other words, he didn't praise for the sake of praising, he praised in order to someone come out and challenge his praising. It's like counterproductive. He wants to do it on purpose to raise the issue and sharpen the issue, that we should not add more than it was instituted in a decorum of prayer. Another example, a certain man went down in front of Rabbi Hanina. אמר, הקל, הגדול, הגיבור, והנורא, והאדיר, והעזוז, והראוי, והחזק, והאמיץ, והוודאי, והנכבד. He went a lot of declaration of how God is great, and he had his own tremendous amount of praising to God. המתין לו עד שיסיים. He wait, Rabbi Hanina wait until that guy finish all of his saying, complete the prayer. כי סיים, אמר לי, when he done, he said to him, סיימתיון לכולי שבחי דמרי? Did you done with all this, complete of all this blessing? למה לכולי? Why you need to add more than what we have already? אנן הדת תלת אמרינן. We have the great, mighty, awesome, all this. אילאו דאמרינן משה רבנו מדאורייתא, had not Moses stated in the Torah, ועטו שני אנשי כנסת הגדולה ותקינו בתפילה, and the men of the great assembly put it in our prayer. לא אבינן יכולים למה אמרו. We're not allowed to say all those prayers, but because Moses instituted it and it's the great of the men of the great assembly put it in a prayer, we say, and you, and ואת אמרת כולי היי ועזרת, and you add all of that by your own personal wishes to add more than a prayer. משל למלך בשר ודם שהיו לו אלפי דינרי זהב ומקלסים אותו בשביל כסף ולא גנאיו לו. If there is a king that had endless gold, and now you come and you praise him that he has silver, which is denigrating his wealth. So what do you do? It's basically disgrace for him, right? So you shouldn't do that. ואמר רבי חנינא, so another teacher of Rabbi Hanina, he said something unbelievable sharp. He said, הכל בידי שמיים חוץ מיראת שמיים. It's like it's in a heaven set a plan for a person, and in that sense it was a predestined a future in the hand of heaven, except from the fear of heaven, which means all the situation in a person's life, which means his height, his intelligence, his wealth, is in God's hands. That's what we said in Tanei Tokef in the Rosh Hashanah. But the idea of his will, of fear of God, That's in a person's will, which means a person can make all the times a choice to fear God and to have the presence of God. שנאמר, as we said in Deuteronomy, ואתה ישראל, מה השם אלוקיך שואל ממך כי נראה. Now, a nation of Israel, this is what God asks you to do. What? To fear God. אתו יראת שמיים מילתרא זולטראי. So fear from heaven, then it's a small matter, it's like a simple thing. ואמר רבי חנינא משום רבי שמעון בר יוחאי, אין לו לקדוש ברוך הוא בבית גנזיו, אלא אוצר של יראת שמיים, שנאמר יראת השם היא אוצרו. Which means in God's wealth, the treasure, it's only the treasure of the fear of heaven, which means that's the highest level. A person have always the presence that God is in my dining room, the God is in my life, anyway, any place, is always feeling of presence of God. That's one of the reasons we're wearing kippah. So the Gemarah answered and said, Ein legabel Moshe miltera zutrai. Yes, for Moshe Rabbeinu, it's a small matter. Why? דאמר רבי חנינא משל לאדם שמבקשים ממנו כלי גדול, ויש לו, if it's like in a case that the person was have a large utensil, was demanded and he had it available. דומה עליו ככלי קטן. So it's, the utensils appear like a small utensil to acquire. קטן ואין לו. But if it's demanding a small utensil and the person doesn't have it, so דומה עליו ככלי גדול. Now it's appeared to him like a large utensil. So that's as a fear of heaven seems a small matter to Moshe Rabbeinu, who has already achieved it. But for us, it's different. Now we go to the modim modim. So Mishnah continue that one who said twice modim modim, we come down. Amar Rabbi Zera, kol haomer shma shma, keomer modim modim. One who said shma twice is like he said twice modim. We explained earlier, repeating the shma, it's appear that it's like two deities, which again, it's against all the core concept of uniqueness of God. Meiti ve'akoret shma ve'chofla arei ze megune. That someone repeat the word Shema twice, repeat the repetition of the line of Shema twice, is megune, it's disgraceful. Meguneu de'aveshatu keilo meshatkin alei. So it's disgraceful, not blasphemous, but we don't silence him lo kashya. It's not difficult. Had amar milta mita vetanela, ve'ad amar psuka upsuka vetanela. We have a difference between someone who repeat the word Shema twice versus someone who said the line twice, right? So here we say that if a person read the word twice, so he does not appear to be accepting the two deities, and you don't need to silence him, right? But it's considered disgraceful since he reduced the reciting of Shema to a farce. So it's Rabbi Zera, on the other hand, Rashi said, referred to the latter case, which is appear the entire verse. It's like blasphemous. אמר לרב פאפה לאביי, רב פאפה said to אביי, ודילמה מעיקרא לא כוון דעתה ולסוף כוון דעתה. Maybe you said that he wasn't in full attention at the beginning. Now he repeats it, he had the full concentration. אמר לי, he answered to him and said, חברותא כלפי שמיא מעיקא. So that itself will be disgraceful, that one act toward heaven with familiarity. So it's like, what do you mean? It's like Rashi said, like how you compare the relationship between man and his fellow to the relationship to God. If he did not concentrate at the outset, it's in our language, we strike him with a smite hammer, meaning the napachad mechaven date, that he is like, we put him in that hammer until he have the concentration, which means that Rashi said klomar, and I said in my book klomar that is a meaning, you should read it, but it means not physically you take a hammer and you strike him. It means that melamdim oto shichavenu makim oto im ergil bechach, that we teach him that he should have the proper intent, and we should basically rebuke him constantly until, if he is not keep focusing until you reach that level.